My in-laws took over my wedding and erased me from the plans. I gave them the surprise of a lifetime. My wedding day was supposed to be about me and my fiancé, a celebration of our love and the start of our new life together. But my in-laws had other plans. From the moment we got engaged, they treated it like their event, making decisions without asking me, ignoring my wishes, and even erasing me from the plans. I was just supposed to show up, smile, and let them take all the credit. But what they didn't know was that I had one last trick up my sleeve, and on the big day, I was going to give them the surprise of a lifetime. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. From the moment my fiancé and I got engaged, his parents, especially his mother, treated it like their wedding. At first I thought it was just excitement, but then I realized that every single decision was being made without me. The venue, his mother booked it before I even saw it. The catering, she picked the menu based on what she liked. The guest list, she invited over 100 of her own friends, cutting out half of my own family and closest friends. I tried to speak up, but every time I did, I got the same response. Oh, sweetheart, don't stress yourself with these little details. Just focus on being a beautiful bride. A beautiful bride. That's all I was to them. A decoration for their perfect family event. Even my fiancé started shrugging it off. Come on, babe. You know how my mom is. Just let her have this. It's not worth the fight. Not worth the fight? They were erasing me from my own damn wedding. The final straw came when I saw the invitations. They had already been printed and sent out, without my approval. And guess how they were worded? Mr. and Mrs., fiancé's parents' names, request the honor of your presence at the wedding of their son, fiancé's name, to miss my name. No mention of my family, no mention of me being part of the planning. It was their event, and I was just an afterthought. That's when I realized if they wanted this wedding for themselves, they could have it, because I wasn't going to be there. And when the big day came, they were in for the shock of their lives. After seeing those invitations, I knew I couldn't let this go. I tried to talk to my fiancé one last time, hoping, praying, he would finally stand up for me. But when I showed him the invitations, he just sighed and rubbed his temples like I was annoying him. Babe, does it really matter? My parents just want things to be nice. Nice? They literally erased my family from the invitations. He just shrugged. They paid for the wedding. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. At that moment, I saw our future. A life where I would always come second to his mother. A marriage where my opinions wouldn't matter, where I'd constantly have to fight to be respected. And suddenly, I was done. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just gave him a small smile and said, "You're right. It's not a big deal." And that was the moment I decided. I wasn't going to the wedding. I had a better plan. Over the next few days, I made some moves. First, I called my family and closest friends and told them the truth, that this wedding wasn't mine anymore, and that I wouldn't be attending. They were furious on my behalf, but I told them not to say anything. I had everything under control. Next, I quietly packed my things, made arrangements to stay somewhere else, and got in touch with a lawyer. Because this wasn't just about the wedding anymore. I wasn't going to marry this man at all, but I wasn't going to just walk away quietly. If his family wanted to treat this wedding like their perfect fairy tale event, then they were about to experience a real-life nightmare. The morning of the wedding, I felt calmer than I had in months. While my in-laws were probably rushing around getting ready for their big day, I was sitting in a quiet cafe, sipping coffee, and waiting for the fireworks to start. I had left my engagement ring on the kitchen counter, along with a short, polite note. Since this wedding was never about me, I figured you didn't need me there. Best of luck! And just like that, I was gone. I had already moved my things out the night before, so by the time my fiancé saw the note, I was long gone. And from what I heard later, panic immediately set in. The guests had already started arriving. The expensive decorations were set up. The wedding planner was making sure everything was perfect. Except, there was no bride. And that's when reality hit my fiancé and his parents like a truck. They called me, over and over again. I didn't answer. They sent texts, voicemails, even had some of their family members try to reach out. but I had already blocked his parents. I only let my ex-fiance's calls go through because I wanted to hear the desperation in his voice. And when I finally picked up, "Where the hell are you?" he demanded, his voice frantic. "Oh, I thought this wedding wasn't a big deal," I said sweetly. Silence. Then, "You can't do this to me. Everyone is here." "Oh, I absolutely can, because you and your parents already did this to me. Enjoy your wedding." Then I hung up. From what I heard later, the entire event turned into a disaster. The guests were confused, the officiant was standing there awkwardly with no bride, and my ex's mother started crying hysterically in front of everyone. Apparently, she kept screaming that I had ruined her special day. Her day, not mine. Heron. That said everything. While my ex-fiancé and his parents were scrambling at the wedding venue, I was sitting in my hotel room, relaxing with a glass of champagne. No stress, no drama, just pure satisfaction. But the real fun? It came later when the texts and calls started flooding in. First was my ex. After I hung up on him, he kept sending furious messages. Ex-fiancé. "This isn't funny. You just embarrassed me in front of everyone." Ex-fiancé. "Do you have any idea what you just did to my mom?" Ex-fiancé. "You're being immature. Come fix this now." Fix this? He was still acting like I was the problem. Then came his mother. I had already blocked her number, but she found a way to use someone else's phone to send me a voice message. And let me tell you, I wish I had saved it because it was a masterpiece of unhinged entitlement. Mother-in-law screaming, "How dare you do this to our family? You humiliated us. We spent so much money, and now you've ruined everything. You selfish, ungrateful girl. I should have never let my son marry you." Oh, so now she had let her son marry me. That told me everything. I didn't respond to either of them. They didn't deserve my time. But my friends and family, oh, they had a field day with the whole thing. One of my bridesmaids, who had still attended as a guest, filled me in on every detail. Apparently, when it became clear that I wasn't coming, my ex-fiancé tried to make a speech, saying there was a misunderstanding and that we would sort things out. But the guests, they weren't buying it. Then someone from my side of the family stood up and called him out. "A misunderstanding? You and your parents treated her like a guest at her own wedding. This is what you get." The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Guests started leaving, murmuring about what a disaster it was. The wedding planner was furious because they had already been paid, and now there was no ceremony. And the caterers, they refused to refund anything. So my ex's parents were left with a massive bill for a wedding that never happened. And the best part, my ex-fiance's mother had the nerve to blame him. They had a huge screaming match in front of everyone, with her yelling about how he had failed to control me and how he had let me ruin their special day. People were watching in shock as their perfect little family imploded. It was better than I could have ever planned. After the disaster at the wedding, my ex-fiancé kept trying to do damage control. He texted me a few days later, switching from rage to pathetic begging. Ex-fiancé. "Okay, I get that you were upset, but did you really have to humiliate me like that? Let's just talk. We can fix this. I'll tell my mom to back off, okay? I love you. Don't throw everything away over one misunderstanding." A misunderstanding. That's what he called months of his family steamrolling me, ignoring my wishes, and treating me like an accessory to their perfect little event. I didn't respond. I had already made up my mind. A few days later, I officially called off the engagement. My lawyer had already helped me draft up the paperwork to ensure they didn't try to come after me for wedding expenses. Not that they had much of a case. They planned it all without me. From what I heard later, my ex-fiance's life went downhill fast. First, he moved back in with his parents, a grown man crashing in his childhood bedroom because he had put all his savings into the wedding, a wedding that never happened. Second, his mother never forgave him. She blamed him entirely for the humiliation and stopped treating him like her perfect little prince. In fact, I heard that she started pushing him to find a new wife ASAP, someone more respectful, aka someone who would roll over and let her control everything. And the third, most satisfying part, people talked. The wedding disaster became the story of the year in their social circle. Mutual friends, family members, even co-workers knew about how his entire wedding fell apart because he and his mother tried to erase me from it. He became a joke. And me? I moved on. I took the honeymoon tickets. which thankfully had been booked in my name, and went on a solo trip. Best vacation of my life. Even weeks after the wedding disaster, the gossip didn't stop. Everyone in my ex's family and social circle knew what had happened, and let's just say, it wasn't me who looked bad. His mother was humiliated. She had spent months acting like this wedding was her crowning achievement, making sure everyone knew how perfect and elegant it was going to be. And then, I exposed her for the controlling nightmare she was. I heard from mutual friends that she was livid that I had disrespected her. But the funny thing, a lot of people actually sided with me. Apparently, even some of their own relatives thought she had gone way too far with her obsession over the wedding. And my ex-fiancé? Oh, he was drowning. Not only was he stuck living with his mom again, but he was also completely broke. His parents had spent so much on the wedding that there was nothing left. And since it never happened, they couldn't even milk it for gifts or social clout. At work, people whispered, friends. They laughed behind his back. He tried to act like I was the crazy one, but nobody bought it. Everyone knew he had let his mom take over the entire thing, and now he was paying the price. And me, I was just getting started. Instead of sitting around feeling bad for myself, I did something better. I took the damn honeymoon trip anyway. It had been booked in my name, and since I had paid for most of it, why waste it? So instead of a honeymoon with a man-child, I turned it into the most amazing solo vacation of my life. I spent 2 weeks in paradise, spoiling myself, trying new foods, and enjoying pure peace. No stress, no controlling in-laws, no fiancé ignoring me. Just me, finally free. And let me tell you, that feeling was worth everything. When I got back, I felt stronger than ever. I threw myself into my work, reconnected with old friends, and started truly enjoying life again. I wasn't just moving on, I was thriving. Meanwhile, my ex-fiancé's life was still a wreck. His mom kept nagging him about finding a new, proper wife. But every woman he dated ran for the hills the moment they saw what a mama's boy he was. His friends, they stopped inviting him out. His coworkers still whispered about him. His life, going absolutely nowhere. And that's when I knew. This was the best revenge. It took a while, but one day I realized something. I hadn't thought about my ex in months. He was just a bad chapter in my past, a mistake I had learned from and moved on. And the best part? I met someone new. Not right away, not on purpose. But when I least expected it, I found someone who was everything my ex wasn't. Someone who respected me, treated me as an equal, and never let anyone else control our relationship. When we talked about marriage, it was our decision. No overbearing in-laws, no family drama, just us. And when we finally tied the knot, it was everything my first wedding was supposed to be. What do you think? Have you ever had in-laws try to take over your wedding or your life? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And if you like this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more wild Reddit-style stories. See you in the next one.